This was never meant to be revealed. That's the first thing everyone inside the room keeps repeating, because what unfolded between Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston was not planned, not announced, and definitely not supposed to be seen this soon. But once the rumors began spreading, they wouldn't stop. Multiple insiders say it started with an urgent meeting that was never added to any public agenda. No press, no media, no social updates, just a sudden call for certain coaches, decision-makers, and advisors to gather immediately. The reason wasn't written down, but everyone present already understood why. Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, and the fact that those in charge could no longer ignore what was coming. 4 months, the league had been trying to handle the Caitlin Clark impact. Not stop it. Not fully embrace it either. Just contain it, direct it, shape it, prevent it from evolving too fast. But something unexpected occurred. Aliyah Boston didn't distance herself from Caitlin Clark. She moved closer. Sources familiar with team matters say the bond between Caitlin and Aliyah didn't just remain after the season. It grew stronger on and off the court, training, communication, decision-making, and that frightened people because individually Caitlin Clark already pulls everything toward her. Views follow her, fans follow her, sponsors follow her, entire conversations follow her. Aliyah Boston, on the other hand, brings credibility, balance, and trust from inside the system. Together, they don't just attract attention, they alter the whole dynamic. That's why, according to insiders, the emergency meeting wasn't about tactics or schedules.
Benefited from being bad because that was the case. But those two together, the foundation of the team. But not only do they have a chance to compete for a WNBA championship this year, but they should be teammates on Team USA. Both Clark and Aliyah Boston were part of the USA basketball camp in December. And one would assume they're both going to make the roster for the World Cup.
It was about control. How do you manage two stars whose achievements grow stronger together? How do you steer the story when both athletes refuse to fit into old narratives? And how do you get ready for a future season that suddenly looks completely different than expected? Several people familiar with the meetings say one term kept being repeated over and over. Momentum, not skill, not numbers. Momentum. Because momentum doesn't ask for permission. And just when people assumed things would calm down after the season concluded, something else emerged. Footage, not shared publicly, not posted officially.
Of course, to go to the World Cup and compete for a gold medal. And, Clark and Boston could be gold medal teammates, and it stands to reason they'll both be playing big minutes for that team as well. And then you go back to the season. And so that hype feeds in to the other, and you get the playoffs, and they push even further. So if the Fever make an extended run in the playoffs, it's a double whammy of sorts. And why do you say they're going to make the team? Well, we know what happened when Clark didn't make the Olympic team last time around. And, she's the...
According to those who have seen it, the footage comes from a closed practice setting tied to long-term preparation, not a game, not a scrimmage, but a training environment meant to stay hidden. And what it revealed surprised people. Caitlin Clark wasn't hesitant. She wasn't careful. She wasn't reserved. She was loud. She was confident. She was directing the action. And Aliyah Boston wasn't just involved, she was reacting. Insiders say the two seemed connected in a way that doesn't occur by accident. Reads were immediate. Spacing was effortless. Adjustments happened without explanation. The kind of chemistry that usually takes years to develop. And suddenly the idea of 2026 stopped being theoretical. It became tangible. That's when fear began to creep in, because the league has always known how to handle single stars, raise them, rotate the spotlight, balance the messaging. But a duo that controls both the audience and the locker room, that's different. People inside the system began asking quiet questions. What happens if this partnership shapes the next era? What happens if fans stop arguing and start uniting?
Playing basketball, so I'm sure that's gonna, come as the camp comes. But she looks great regardless. Outside of that, and the other thing is rhythm, right? You got to find your rhythm, and I'm sure everybody saw that one step back in transition she had. So the rhythm looks great, but more than anything, you want all these players to just be around each other. right? Off the court, on the court.
So, that's already the case with Aliyah Boston, who Sue Bird praised as well. And this was separate. This was on her podcast. The Fever took the quote here. What really stands out to me is Aliyah Boston. Aliyah Boston looks great right now. She looked great in USA camp. She's really, I think, found her game and just has a confidence about, this is what I do, and I'm going to be great at these things. And one of those things is playmaking. So that's another.
What happens if every major storyline leads back to the same two names? According to insiders, those questions sparked the emergency reaction. Not to stop anything, but to stay ahead of it because there is a fear nobody wants to say out loud. They can't slow this down without making it obvious. And the more obvious it becomes, the worse it appears. Caitlin Clark hasn't said anything about any of this. Aliyah Boston hasn't either. That silence is what makes it louder because while everyone else is rushing behind closed doors, the two athletes at the center of it are just working, training, improving, building momentum. Sources say the footage reveals something else that disturbed people even more. Confidence, not arrogance, not performance, but certainty. Caitlin doesn't look like someone fighting for a spot. Aliyah doesn't look like someone defending her position. They look like players who know exactly where this is headed. And that's a problem for anyone who believed they could guide the future quietly. The emergency meeting, according to multiple reports, ended without a conclusion. Not because nothing was agreed, but because too much was already obvious.
And support her. I have so much admiration for her, for what she has really not only just accomplished, but what she's handled in her young 24 years of life. I told her today, your 20s have been pretty good to you.
I would say so. Yeah, they've been transformative, I would say, to say the least. And Aliyah, it's been interesting watching her final season in college with you here at the desk and then watching your relationship develop at the professional level.
Yeah, honestly, it has been so great. It's always so weird when you play against someone and then you are on the same team and building that relationship. But I think just over the past 2 years, it's been amazing. From the first time she got to Indy and us just building that relationship on the court, off the court, honestly, that's my girl.
You guys are both elite. So when you met up with each other, of course, you got all your college history, but then does it not take too long to recognize, hey, this is somebody that is like-minded like me, skilled like me, and can elevate my game to a level that I haven't seen?
I mean,
you had a
know that
fantastic
from playing
season last
against
season.
her. You know that from playing against her, just how competitive she is in that nature. And so to be on the same team, it honestly continues to motivate you because you guys want to be great for each other. And I feel like that's how we play. Like every time we step on the floor, we give each other our pregame hugs, and she says, you're going to be amazing because you are amazing. And I say back, but it's just that confidence that Caitlin just continues to make you feel, and then you give it right back to her.
Yeah.
I was so happy for Aliyah when Caitlin went to Indiana because I knew you were going to reap a lot of those passes down the court and she was going to feed you the ball. And I just think you guys are such a dynamic.
What happens if every major storyline leads back to the same two names? According to insiders, those questions sparked the emergency reaction. Not to stop anything, but to stay ahead of it because there is a fear nobody wants to say out loud. They can't slow this down without making it obvious. And the more obvious it becomes, the worse it appears. Caitlin Clark hasn't said anything about any of this. Aliyah Boston hasn't either. That silence is what makes it louder because while everyone else is rushing behind closed doors, the two athletes at the center of it are just working, training, improving, building momentum. Sources say the footage reveals something else that disturbed people even more. Confidence, not arrogance, not performance, but certainty. Caitlin doesn't look like someone fighting for a spot. Aliyah doesn't look like someone defending her position. They look like players who know exactly where this is headed. And that's a problem for anyone who believed they could guide the future quietly. The emergency meeting, according to multiple reports, ended without a conclusion. Not because nothing was agreed, but because too much was already obvious.
The injuries she had last year, so I'm expecting her to be a part of the World Cup competition and even the qualifiers, which they don't need to qualify for. That could also be, when they play together as well. But it's just interesting to see that quirk in the schedule because the first thing I thought was, oh, wow, there's going to be a lot of buzz and a lot of hype. And then those two get a chance to do something really special together to see if they can capture a gold medal and then a gold trophy shortly thereafter. Whether one or both come to fruition, they'll have plenty of other chances after that. But there ain't too many years where there's a convergence just like that. I guess the next Olympics would fall into the same category, but yeah, I'll make a video about that.
You can't destroy chemistry without facing backlash. You can't minimize success without appearing uncertain. And you can't ignore what fans are already responding to, because fans sense when something is being hidden. They notice when coverage shifts tone, when questions are dodged, when wording becomes cautious. And once that feeling takes hold, it spreads faster than any official statement can control. That's why this feels different. This isn't about one clip or one practice or one meeting. It's about the understanding that Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston together symbolize a future that wasn't fully anticipated. A future where the spotlight doesn't rotate like it used to. A future where power moves from boardrooms to the court. A future where chemistry overpowers narrative. Insiders say that after the meeting, discussions didn't stop. They multiplied. Calls, side discussions, revised talking points. Not to attack anyone, but to get ready. Because once fans begin believing they're witnessing the start of something special, there's no undoing that belief, and the leaked descriptions of that practice only added fuel. Fans who heard about it began speculating. Analysts began hinting. Language began shifting. Suddenly 2026 wasn't being discussed as a possibility. It was being discussed as a turning point. And the more that idea spread, the more uneasy it became for people who prefer predictable outcomes. Caitlin Clark has always been visible. Started changing. Suddenly 2026 wasn't being discussed as a possibility. It was being discussed as a turning point. The more that idea spread, the more uncomfortable it became for people who prefer predictable outcomes. Caitlin Clark has always been visible. No, the injury she had last year, so I am expecting her to be a part of the World Cup competition and even the qualifiers, which they don't need to qualify for. That could also be, when they play together as well. But it's just interesting to see that quirk in the schedule, because the first thing I thought was, oh wow, there's going to be a lot of buzz and a lot of hype, and then those two get a chance to do something really special together to see if they can capture a gold medal and then a gold trophy shortly thereafter. Whether one or both come to fruition, they'll have plenty of other chances after that. But there ain't too many years where there's a convergence just like that. No, I guess that the next Olympics would fall into the same category. But yeah, I'll make a video about that sometime in the future. I'm talking about the near future, right? Aliyah Boston has always been respected. Together, there's something. They represent alignment. Alignment is dangerous to systems built on division. That's why the emergency meeting mattered. That's why the footage matters. And that's why none of this is going away. Because no matter how carefully things are managed from here, one truth is already out. They can see the success coming, and they don't know how to stop it, which is why this year isn't just another season. It's a setup. And once the setup is complete, the reveal won't need leaks. It'll be right there on the court for everyone to